name is Heather and welcome to my channel Strings and Threads. Today we're going to talk about how to write either a crochet or a knitted pattern. If you've had some ideas, if you've created your own creations and you're ready to get them written down into a pattern form, this is the perfect video for you. You can use many different platforms to write your patterns. Anything that can be converted into a PDF, if you're planning on sharing it, would be perfect. The platform that I'm going to show you is Canva, and this is what I use. I only use the free version, and so you can download Canva and just have the free version and have all that you need to make a crochet or a knitting pattern. So I'm going to turn this around and I'll show you how to get started. Okay, here's the icon for Canva. I'm going to make sure this is in frame here. The perfect template for patterns would be using the resume template. And you can scroll and choose any of the templates that you desire. I'm going to show you here though that some of them say Pro. The ones that say Pro are paid ones. So unless you're paying to use Canva, those you cannot use. But I'll take this one for example here. This one's one I've used before. This one I really like. So if I came up here, here's where I would want to put the name of my pattern. Oops. So that is something that you want to include, is the name of your pattern. And for sure, you would want to put your name down. I'll put Strings and Threads. But feel free to put your own name there. Okay, so up here would be where you can put a picture of the completed project. So up here, if I hit the delete button, it will say, do I want to delete the image or the frame? I'll delete the image, and then I can put my own image in there later. These templates are very customizable. So I could come to here, this big one, and if I didn't like that color, I would come up here to color, and I could choose any color that I would desire. Now this is not a tutorial on how to use Canva, but rather how to write the pattern. But I just thought I would put that there, that you can change the patterns if you wanted to. So over here, there's usually some kind of profile. What I would change that to would be materials needed. That's another thing that you are going to need to include in your pattern. And then I'll come over here, and I like to do it in bullet point. And I come here, and I would say 4 ounces of medium weight yellow yarn, and then enter, and whatever else you would need, include the knitting needle size or the crochet hook size, whatever you're doing in your pattern. So I could put crochet size H hook, and then in parentheses I would put that that was 5 millimeters. Down here I would put abbreviations. That's the next thing that you will need to have in any pattern that you do. Sometimes they'll have little icons here that you would need to get rid of. I'm going to do is just, oh, I hit repeat instead of delete. I'm going to just make another one of these to bring down under abbreviations. And then whatever abbreviations you're planning to use, sometimes I even put extras in. So for example, CH equals chain if I was doing crochet. You could do P equals purl if you were doing knitting, or K equals knit, DC equals double crochet, whatever abbreviations you're going to need. And then over here is where you'll put the directions. Okay, I just got rid of the little icons that I didn't want on there. So for directions, people do their directions a lot of different ways. Some people just start writing it, like CH2, and then they start right in on the directions. One thing that I found through experience on selling on Etsy is that I get a lot of feedback that people like it when you specify the number round. They say it's easier to follow rather than just writing it. Even if you're listing it, like if you're doing the first direction and then you hit return and do the next direction, but you don't put like round 1 or row 1, that type of thing. I have gotten feedback from people saying that they didn't like that as much because it was harder to find where they were. So this is the way that I do it, but you're going to have to write your patterns the way that you feel are going to suit your needs best. So I would do bold. I'm going to go in rows for this one. If I was doing something in the round, I would put round. Row 1. And then you can start right in on the pattern. Chain 7. For some reason that bold didn't go away with that. So I'm going to take the bold off of that. Chain 7, comma, 1 single crochet in first, or in second chain from the hook, and each chain across. And then that would leave me with 6 single crochets. So also including the number of stitches that should be in that row at the end of that row is very important for people to know exactly how many stitches. I'm sure that if you're to the point where you're making your own designs, you've probably read other patterns before. It's good to go back and look at some of those patterns that you have worked on and see what you like about some of them and what you don't like about some of them. So to continue on with the directions, I would do like row, I'm not going to do a whole nother row, but just from there I would go row 2 and the directions for that. Somehow I moved it. So these, from feedback that I've received from selling lots of patterns on Etsy, this seems to be the way that people like it. If you wanted to show a picture after row 2, like say I had directions there for row 2, and it was something, I'm just going to put something there. There was something that you thought needed to show in picture format from that row, you can just insert a picture. So you would go to your camera roll and you can get a picture from there. This was the last one I just did, so add to page. And then from there you can change the size. So say this was, just say that picture was showing me about row 2, about something I did in row 2. Then I could leave that there and then add. I can copy this and then put it below. It'll show me when it's lined up. And then I can do row 3 from here and continue on. The last very important thing, well, there are 2 more things that you might want to add. The very important thing that I was thinking of is that if this is your own unique design, you want to put a copyright on it. So I have a pre-written copyright that I use. And it says copyright. I adjust this because I've also written books. I adjust this to say patterns or book, depending on what I'm writing. Copyright, and then you put this year because this is the year that you did it, or whatever year you did it, you would write it down. Heather Heisler from Strings and Threads, all rights reserved, no portion of this book, or I would put, in this case, I would change it to read pattern, may be reproduced by any means without written permission from the publisher. And then I put visit Strings and Threads and the site. So you can have it take up as much room as you want, but typically I just put it right down here under the abbreviations, kind of to fit in the abbreviation spot. If it takes up the whole page, then, you know, you get less directions per page. I have a logo that I use as well. And I put that with the copyright. And, you know, you can make it whatever size you want. The other thing, and this was something that I have received feedback on from Etsy, is if it's more than one page, you want to make sure that you are adding page numbers. So you would come over here to Elements. Again, this isn't a tutorial on how to use Canva. I will probably do another video at some point on how to use Canva. And there's also a lot of tutorials already out there on how to use Canva. But this is showing what you would do to write a pattern. You could do this in a Word document. You could do this in Google Docs. Anything that can be put into PDF form. I find Canva a lot easier to work with. It's a lot easier to customize and switch around what you're working on. So again, some of these say Pro, so I wouldn't be able to use those. This one doesn't. I'll just do that. And in the bottom corner, you could just have the number 1 there. If you wanted to write page 1, you could. Just some way for people to realize which page of the pattern they're on. Again, you want to add as many pictures as you want. The finished product you would put here, you just click on that and, oh no, actually what you do to get a picture on there, go to your camera roll, and let's say that I wanted a picture of my blanket on there. I would just add it to the page, and then I would put it right up to that picture, and it just pops itself right in. So again, the name of the pattern, your name as the designer, the materials needed, be as detailed as you can. Sometimes you might not know the exact amount of yarn, but it's better to guesstimate a little bit high. You add the abbreviations, you add the directions, include as many pictures as you need. You can separate the directions with row numbers and with stitch count, so the end of the row that you know how many stitches should be in that row. Include a copyright. If this is not your design, you should not be replicating it and selling it because that would break copyright code. So I'm assuming that you're coming up with your own pattern here and you're writing it down. And so if that's the case, you would put your copyright and put a page number. I hope this helps you to get started with how to create your own pattern. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments, and I hope you have a great day.